Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the ASL. For those of us who watch Brood War, the greatest show on Earth, here we are getting prepared for Group C in the round of 24, the trial by fire that has provided us with some absolutely fantastic games thus far. My name is Saiyan SC. Joining me is Xun. Welcome back, everybody. We're here for the Zerg group, the big one here for us two Zerg players.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, Sam. We always love casting ZVZ games together. However, you can't sleep on YSC, who's here in this group, surrounded on all sides by those Zergs. He's been playing pretty fantastic recently, even beating out Hero himself in the qualifiers. So you could make a strong case for maybe YSC's getting out of this group, could be even first.
He has been putting out some great performances lately. YSC kind of surprising a lot of people out there, and just growing and growing. Whereas a lot of these other Protoss players have been falling behind. Players that we thought were going to be great, and up and coming like Paralyzed, like Motive, just haven't really delivered where YSC is consistently bringing the results.
Yeah, I would say so. I think you're going to have to keep your eyes on YSC. I think he's one of the pretty much the only Protoss player that's not ready in the top 5 or top 6 Protoss list. He is one of those guys that's very capable of joining them soon. Might not be this season, might not be the next season, but one of these days it seems like he's going to start playing absolutely out of his mind and start to become a real contender. I don't think he's going to win this season of ASL at all, but I think he's going to have a very strong likelihood of getting into the round of 16 and going a little bit deep in this tournament and starting to make a name for himself.
Yeah, he's been rising. He's been performing and outperforming his peers. However, players like Hero have been falling a bit to the wayside. These guys that have traditionally been insanely consistent in the ASL, some of them are kind of falling off. Players like Sulky, we saw Sulky yesterday. Everyone was expecting him to get through. Everyone was looking at that group like it was an easy group. This is a type of group that he would set up himself.
Right.
Full Terran group. He ended up getting knocked out yesterday. Hero, he's also underperforming. We'll see if he can barely slip by and buck the trend that we've got so far in this round of 24.
Yeah, so doing a quick little group breakdown for you guys. Hero, he had to try again to qualify this time around on day 2 of the main qualifiers. He eliminated Sue in the finals to be here today. He's still not playing at his highest power level and is recovering from what you could say is an extended slump. So his chances of getting through to the round of 16 are probably at an all-time low compared to his super consistent play a couple of years back. He's facing YSC in the first match today, and YSC, like we've been talking about, has been playing phenomenally good in the recent qualifiers. He beat out Saber 2-0 in the semis and Hero himself 2-0 in an amazing display in the finals of his day 1 main qualifier groups. He's a strong contender of getting out of this group and maybe even first. Meanwhile, Larva got in today through the day 2 main qualifiers, taking out the ladder monster Shiny 2-1 in the semis. And then Zealot 2-1 in the finals. He's had to play a lot of ZVZ ace matches in the Pro League and has been consistently clutching it out for his team. In this best of 1 format, you would have a hard time arguing he's also not a favorite for getting out of this group. He'll be playing against Shine in match 2, who qualified day 2 of the main groups, taking down Noob 2-1 in the semis, and True, as in BTS, 2-0 in the finals. A very cheesy bag of builds, Zerg, who's had a lot of experience understanding these pros, but he has been an observer for events like this, so he's had a chance to get a lot of close study of the styles and capabilities of each of these gamers. But ZVZ is a very hard matchup to get cheesy and tricky, so he'll have a hard time pulling the rug out from underneath Larva.
It's kind of funny, actually. The hostess is a little bit off the mark, I think, way over the left-hand side, very close to Hero right
Maybe
now.
she likes him.
Maybe either attracted to Hero or repelled by Larva. I'm not sure exactly which one. It's definitely not attracted by YSC. That's for sure.
Yeah, Lava. I mean, Lava's a really handsome. He kind of looks like an anime protagonist or something, whereas Hero looks quite cute and cuddly. So maybe I can see why she wants to get a little bit more closer to him.
Probably just a little error there from the production team, but just funny to speculate. Looks like we're going to be getting some interviews here as per usual. I just want to talk a bit more about Larva Man because you did mention it.
Mm,
I've been watching a ton of Pro League lately,
yeah.
and he's been consistently over and over again getting picked for the ace match
Right.
in Pro League. And if you guys don't know, Pro League is a very long, extended series of games, sometimes as many as 16 games. Uh, and you've got a whole bunch of players on each team, usually five. Go all the way to the end, and then if the score is all tied up, then you play one final match for all the money in the entire prize pool, and that's going to be split between you and the rest of your team. Sometimes it's tens of thousands of dollars,
Mm.
so an insane amount of pressure for just a single match. And Larva's been consistently getting hit with that ace match. It's totally random, and he gets ZVZ more than any other match, and he has been performing. So his uh, current performance under pressure has been pretty remarkable in that matchup, and
Yeah.
he's found himself in a heavily uh, Zerg favored or a very very heavy Zerg group here. I'm kind of favoring him getting out, despite some pretty tricky play from Shine and some historically very strong play from Hero.
Yeah, no, I have to fully agree with that, and especially because it is a best of one format. In the round of 24, I think he's had a lot of preparation due to those Pro League Ace matches. Playing under pressure, it's a big deal. And offline, obviously, a little bit different than online. It's a whole different beast to contend with. Larva, he's been in the ASL plenty of times. I'm sure his nerves aren't too hard to get under control as maybe some of the other up and coming players. So I imagine he is going to perform here today. My favorites would definitely be YSC and Larva going forward.
Yeah, Larva's a funny guy, man. For those of you who haven't been following the scene for a really long time, Larva is the only guy to win an ASL finals and then drop out immediately after and not participate in the following ASL. He had some wrist issues. He's had some problems in the past, health wise. So uh, he felt that he needed a break, and so he just gave up his spot. Didn't get that free seat into the round of 16, but he's back now. He's feeling good, and he's ready to participate here. As his recent performance has shown, he is in good shape.
Yeah, no, that is definitely for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing some ZVZ action with Lava involved, man. He kind of has a different style as well. He's usually not a very strong micro player. Like traditionally speaking, he's quite a solid macro Zerg and usually quite defensive one at that. However, in ZVZ, you don't really have the luxury of choosing not to be microcentric, so he's kind of forced to utilize abilities that are not his forte, but he always seems to perform under that pressure. It never seems to shake him that he has to micro more than macro in that matchup. And he's quite smart and intelligent as well. Like the way he approaches the game, the way he reads the game state, identifies win conditions, manages to consolidate his leads. He really does seem very cognitive in that ZVZ matchup. Maybe not having the best micro, but he always seems to be able to get one over these other guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of those attributes could be placed on Shine as well. Also, not the best micro player, not the best uh, when it comes to task switching or multitasking, but seems to find his way to victories through just outsmarting his opponent, being a better chess player, being a better poker player, and that can shine through pretty strongly no pun intended, in ZVZ. So we'll see if he's able to do anything here. I'm not expecting much from Shine. I haven't really seen him very often in the past year or so. He's been pretty uh, in the background. He's not really
Mm,
been around. I know he's got kids. I haven't really seen him in any pro leagues. I haven't really seen too many 1v1s with him, or show matches or anything like that. So I'm really curious to see what his level is right now, and whether or
same.
not he's able to take any games off of players like YSU has been banging out tons. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
as far as Shine is concerned, the player that I can most compare him to is probably Zealot. The only difference is Shine's micro, not quite as good as Zealot, but you could say that Shine has even more build order variety in his cheesy play. Like you could say that like Zealot's like the 50 bagger build guy, and Shine's like the 100 bagger build guy. Like he's got even more ways in which to kill you and do some fancy stuff. But like we previously mentioned, that's super tricky to do in ZVZ. There are obviously things you can do. Like rarely you'll see like a proxy hatchery. That's how Sulky got eliminated by effort. There was a proxy hatchery at the 9 o'clock, and the Overlord of Sulky just barely saw the edge of the creep, but he wasn't paying enough attention to the mini map or something and just didn't quite see it. And that can catch you off guard if you're not prepared for something like that. But you very rarely see those kinds of unorthodox, cheesy plays in ZVZ.
Yeah, we've had different metas in ZVZ. We've had some kind of interesting seasons where ZVZ had little twists on it. Like we've had certain moments where building a hatchery on the high ground and then mining the natural. That was like a that was a really wacky season of ASL. One of the weirdest ZVZ trends that I've ever seen, but generally tends to be pretty straight up. The maps don't really matter that much in ZVZ.
True.
Generally, it's. I mean, we might see something a little different. What do you think about ZVZ on Jane Doe? Is that going to make any difference here?
Maybe. I think that might be one of the only caveats to your previous statement that maps don't matter. I feel like Jane Doe is one of the maps where a 3-gas CVZ is the most likely to occur. I don't think it will happen every game. I think the percentage chance of it going to a late game ZVZ is still going to be low, even if they do get up into 3 gases. But I think that's the map where we might be seeing a lot more gas income for both players, at least at one point.
I actually need to go back. Did we? When was Jane Doe played? I don't think was it even played.
It hasn't been
No, it
played
was
thus far.
it hasn't been played yet. So we're not gonna get Jane Doe today. It was Octagon, Match Point, right?
That's correct.
Match Point, and then Polestar was the final one.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna get Jane Doe here. Maybe we'll get a little ZVZ later on. I think that's probably one of the main ways that a player like Soma can get taken out. Um, One of the most likely scenarios that he could end up getting taken out is if someone like Larva, who's
Mm.
really, really formidable at ZVZ, comes through and faces off against him, or Jadong, something like that. So, we'll see if we can get a ZVZ a little bit later on. I am curious to see how that might pan out.
Yeah, no, so am I. I'm super curious to see what happens in this group. I was really shocked that we are having a ZVZ group at all, considering how many Terrans there are in the tournament. It does mean that we're guaranteed to have at least one Zerg break out of this group, so you could look at it that way. Taking a look at the statistics now, you can see Hero super consistent across the board, but this is quite dated statistics. He's not really been performing to this level that you see on the screen right now, so you could probably take that percentage against Protoss with a little bit of a grain of salt. I doubt he's going to be playing with such formidability today here against YSC, and YSC did 2-0 him in the qualifiers. So yeah, I think you can pretty much ignore these statistics. You can see like YSC's record here, 0% against Zerg in the ASL, but he 2-0'd Hero in the qualifiers. So I think you can pretty much rule out these statistics completely because they're not really reflective of the player's current ability. But YSC maybe having some jitters and some nerves, not playing in the comfort of his own home in those online games, so he might still struggle to perform here today.
He does look a little bit nervous. I mean, his recent performance has been great, so his confidence should be sky high. But yeah, being on stage is a completely different animal. He's only
Yeah.
been here a couple of times before. He's not got a lot of games there. So, I mean, how much of a factor is that going to be? Will he be able to, keep it under control and give us a good game here against Hero, or is he going to go down to the losers match?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it, right? Like, if this was all online, I would say that you can almost guaranteed YSC getting out of this group. The fact that it's offline, I'm not so sure. Like, if he can get his nerves under control and just play at the best of his ability, I think he'll do absolutely fantastic. But, maybe he's a bit of a shy guy, a bit nervous, and when he's around lots of people and the cameras are on him and the lights are shining, maybe not able to quite so much handle that. We're getting started, getting ready. The players in the booth now. This is going to be exciting, Sam.
Absolutely. Got to shake out those nerves. YSC getting everything set up here, locking in. It's time to play. It's time to focus up. He's got a hard opponent here, but he's definitely capable up to the task. If recent performance is any indicator, Hero's going to have a hard time with YSC, but we'll have to see how it goes here on Octagon to start.
Yeah, it's just a best of one. Anything could happen. YSC should be feeling pretty confident going into this with his recent results, especially against Hero in particular. But who knows, man? Anything can happen. Like I say, match number 1, the ASL Group C, Hero versus YSC on Octagon. Let's get it.
All right, vertical spawns. Hero top left, YSC bottom left. Everything is set. It has begun. Group C, our only heavily Zerg-weighted group. Our little break here from TVT, Xun. I mean, enjoy it while it lasts, guys, because we're going into some really thick Terran territory in the next few days.
Yeah, until Flash's group comes around and you got 4 Terrans and Flash just absolutely pounds their face into the dirt with his TVT expertise. We got some different matchups to enjoy until then.
Speaking of matchups, YSC only having to prepare for one single matchup. It is a tough match, but he does seem to excel at this very recently. Just a couple of days ago, he got into the ace match. I believe it was versus Queen, and managed to take him out in the ace match of a pro league, earning himself $2,200 US per player actually on his team. So
right,
about 10,000, 11,000 total dollars.
A lot of cheddar
in that prize pool. Absolutely insane. It rivals the amount of money that's earned by becoming a victor in ASL. But the thing is, ASL is just so prestigious. It's such another level, even though you're not playing for as much money in a lot of cases. This is just such a dream for so many players that it does bring out the nerves even in the best.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a Forge Fast expand here from YSC. Overpull from Hero. Bit of a pro block now onto this drone, trying to deny the hatchery. Going down. Oh, he gets another cancel on that. Can't quite get the third, but good enough to slow down Hero for the time being. And going back to what you were saying a little bit, yeah, like pretty much, well, not all of them, because some of them aren't that big of streamers, but more or less all of these players could earn a hell of a lot more money streaming and staying away from the ASL. But you could make the argument that if you want to really make a name for yourself and get people checking you out on your stream, it helps to have an ASL win under your belt. Like, you could maybe say that one of the successes of Shuttle being such a successful streamer is because back in the day in ASL Season 1, he did get a win. So he can kind of, trash talk and use that as an example and have funny interactions, and that lends to his stream as well. On top of the fact that this is quite the most prestigious event you can attend in StarCraft. Basically, all of these guys really covet getting a title in this tournament, unless you've already got plenty of stars on your chest already.
Yeah, there's maybe an argument there for why Shuttle is as popular as he is. I think a lot of it is just the personality too. We
True,
got
true.
other streamers like Brittany, who are just insanely popular. Never even competed in ASL, but they just have such a presence that they really do well with streaming. But it definitely helps. Definitely helps to get a little of that popularity and prestige from ASL. But some of these other guys who aren't so, gifted when it comes to character and personality on stream, if they win an ASL, they do really well.
Right.
Suddenly their stream explodes. They get a bunch of offers to, go into these different very lucrative pro leagues and show matches and that sort of thing, and it can make or break their career and allow them to, quit their job, or if they quit their job, at least make them, financially viable as a StarCraft player and streamer. So it's a massive, massive benefit, regardless of the prize pool here at ASL.
No, absolutely. We've not seen anything too special this game. Both players playing super standard. Oh, does catch and kill that scouting probe of YSC. Hero not doing anything untoward for the time being. There's no Hydra Den. YSC hasn't got confirmation of that, however. He doesn't know for sure that this is going to be a 3-base layer into most likely a Spire. This could be a 973 here from Hero. YSC doesn't have total confirmation of that. He just knows that there's a 3rd base. So until that Corsair comes out and gets full scouting information, he's not going to know for sure whether or not he will have to defend against any Hydra aggression. But as you can see from YSC, he's been a tiny bit greedy, just playing with one single cannon this entire time. Could have been a Ling Bust or something that could have ran it down and killed him. And ooh, bit of a cross tech we're seeing here from Hero. He's throwing down the Den in line with the Spire timing as well. I mean, a lot of people have taken a page out of Soma's book.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, so many people have adapted his style in part or in full. It had such massive impact in that last ASL. It's kind of hard not to follow the leader a little bit here and take a page out of his book. We'll see if it actually comes into fruition as a full-on Hydralisk bus, a pre-storm timing here for Hero, if he maybe just wants to put on a little pressure with Hydras, maybe try to break the wall. I'm not so sure. I've seen him do very aggressive Hydralisk plays in the past with this style as well. Kind of similar to what Soma does, a little bit different. Tends to bulk up a little bit more when it comes to his economy, but
Yeah.
We'll see if he wants to make that decision, if he wants to try and dive. It's going to depend on whether this Corsair can survive the initial Scourge or not. And in fact, why is he not even going to take the risk to try and kill that Overlord, knowing that there could be Scourge popping out here very soon? He didn't see the timing on when that Spire finished.
Yeah, no, I think it's very smart to err on the side of caution there. You do not want to be losing your first Corsair against a Zerg that knows how to run it down with some Mutas and Scourge. Playing a little bit safe is YSC. He's got a cannon in the main base, now starting one in the natural mineral line as well. He built a second cannon in the front and had a probe waiting to start a third cannon had he did identify any kind of Hydra pressure out of Hero, but saw nothing, so he didn't actually start that third cannon. So he's min-maxing quite a lot here, making sure he's squeezing as much juice out of his orange as he goes. He's going to need it against Hero to have a very strong mid-game. That's pretty much where most of the wins for Protoss do occur, is in that mid-game stage. And that's a nice pick as well, killing one single Scourge there with his neutron flares. And we'll see Hero bulk up a bit with his economy, mustering some Hydras, and won't see too much from Hero for the time being, but eventually we'll probably want to put on some pressure.
Gotta wait for a good chunk of Corsairs before moving out here. And so now that YSC finally has that all-important number, about 7 Corsairs to start to push things back, he moves out and immediately sees what's coming for him. A lot of Hydras are making their way down the map right now, and so he'll have to panic, make some cannons. At the same time, try to deny Overlord so this DT can slow things down. This is a pretty solid play from YSC so far. He catches the Overlords. That's a massive catch. Gets one. Can he get a second? No, one Corsair does fall. And the DT ends up going down, but at least he's bought some time for these cannons to finish up,
Yeah,
Xun.
he has got a spare Overlord at the front of YSC, though, so he will be able to put on so much pressure right off the bat. There's only 4 cannons finished. Storm is not ready. This is a pre-Storm timing to try and punish YSC before he has that splash damage. Already 1 cannon falling. Now a second. He'll have to pull the probes off the line. This is getting a little bit scary. Zealot's trying to wrap around from behind, not able to find significant purchase, and the wall kind of working against YSC here as he tries to bring those probes to bear. Zealot's desperately trying to hang on just a few seconds here for that Storm energy to kick in. He's just about got enough energy for those Storms. There's the first one now. As long as the Hydras are pretty spread, though, he's not going to be able to deal with this attack. Formidably enough, Hero is breaking through and gaining ground. YSC knows it.
Yet still a strong timing attack. This was brought to us by Soma, and it looks like it's been perfectly executed here by Hero as well. Has absolutely smashed it. Hit that mute button, Xun. Can't play music during the breaks here. Sorry about that, guys. We will be having game sounds, though, with the clean stream. We just can't play the music for the YouTube video for StarCastTV. But yeah, Hero getting that victory. We were kind of doubting him at the beginning, but pulling off a pretty decent strategy. I wonder if the nerves here from YSC have settled after that loss, because he'll need to be very calm and remain calm going into this losers match, because we're really expecting a lot from him here, and it would be a shame for him to go out with no victories in the round of 24.
Yeah, it's a shame. He really does seem so strong in those online games, but he's just not been performing that great offline. And I can see a lot of shakiness in his demeanor. He definitely does seem nervous and uncomfortable on the stage here at the ASL. It's going to be really disappointing if he can't get it together and perform in that losers match. I hope not. I hope he can somehow pull it out. We saw something happen like that to Ample, where he kind of tilted and threw away the game against Sulky, but then he came through, redeemed himself, and got back on form and actually beat Sulky in that final match. But we're going to be going to a short break here, guys. Run to the bathroom quickly, grab some water, grab some fruit, and we'll join you for that next game. It's going to be Larva versus Shine. Don't go anywhere.
All right, boys, welcome back. Hope you had some time to grab yourself a drink, get ready for this ZVZ. Hopefully, you don't blink. You might miss it. These tend to be a pretty quick games. So, lock in, boys and girls. ZVZ, our quickest match, and kind of like a knife fight in a phone booth, insanely fast. But incredibly deadly as well, and can be very exciting. We've had some great ZVZs lately. I think that players have become better and better at navigating this matchup and
Yeah.
avoiding the pitfalls of uh, the kind of high intensity play that comes with ZVZ and maneuvering their way into better and better positions. It's a matchup that, from the outside looking in, hasn't really evolved a whole lot, but there has been, there have been subtle improvements and differences, changes over the years that have put these guys on a very high level.
No, absolutely. And it honestly kind of makes me think about like the fight sequences in John Wick, where like you've got a very limited amount of tools to utilize, but it's how you utilize the tools and your environment to your advantage. And yeah, you might be stuck in a phone booth with a knife, but as long as you've got that level of situational awareness, that John Wick style, maybe you can still jostle for position over and over again and take the game longer and longer. But that usually doesn't happen. Usually one of these guys makes a small mistake, and that's all it takes. Literally just one tiny misstep, misclick, whatever it is. Maybe just getting their mutas caught by a volley for free. That can be all it takes to quickly close out the game.
Yeah, this is the matchup that generally you have the most awareness of over what your opponent is up to, being that you both have overlords and you're going to be flying in each other's base. No queens here, so you can't, or StarCraft 2 queens, you can't push back the overlord early. They're just going to be hanging over top of your hatchery there, watching absolutely everything that you do. So it's very hard to uh, have uh, asymmetrical information where your opponent doesn't know what you're up to, but you know what they're up to. Generally, you just both know what's going on, and so coming up with something that can surprise and shock your opponent can be quite difficult. But we have seen it before in the past. Like you were saying before, Effort managed to get one over on Soul Key by hiding a hatchery out on the map. That can't work every single game, but in a best of one scenario like this,
Yeah.
a trick like that, an ace up your sleeve, can actually save you and give you a spot in the round of 16.
No, that's absolutely true. Stranger things have happened. We saw Larva there with his hair dryer, making sure there's no sweat on his hands at all. Nice and dry, good grip on the mouse, and also was chewing some ice as well. This is a very strange pre-game ritual that we see from Larva. But yeah, he's definitely an anime protagonist, so he's going to have some weird quirks getting ready for his games. You can see there's a lot of Larva fans in the crowd today. He's definitely a fan favorite. He's a handsome guy, very charismatic and funny guy, and plays pretty damn good too.
Yeah, he plays fantastic. He's got a huge personality. I think, to my knowledge, the only professional StarCraft player who's done MMA as well. Um, he's got that kind of Conor McGregor type personality. In fact, he brings that up himself. That's his kind of role in the sport of just being a bit of a wild man, a bit of a personality. But he's got to get to the round of 16 before he can show that off. I really love to see him in the round of 16, but he's got to make it through Shine first. Guys, we're jumping into our first game. Let's go. Excuse me, not our first game. Second game of the night. Larva spotting over here in the bottom left. Shine in the bottom right. You can see them setting up for the best possible mining here. So important in ZVZ that you get absolutely optimal mining, and it's one part of ZVZ that a lot of people don't recognize is how big of a deal it is just forcing your opponent to move their drones
Right.
when an attack comes in. If you have to reset your drones back onto the mineral patches, you're losing so much money per second, and everything is so cheap in this matchup that it really does add up quickly.
Yeah, so to give people a bit more of an insight into the actual numbers here, so like some of the worst patches, you know, that's less than 50 minerals per minute per worker. But say this top mineral patch here in the top right that we see Shine boosting his drone on, that's giving you about 84 minerals per minute. So it's a really big marginal difference between what the actual mineral income can be based on what patch you're mining and how optimal you're being with aligning your drones. You tend to want to get them to bounce off the corner of the hatchery to just, you know, shave off a few milliseconds of return time and what have you.
Of course, these guys have practiced that inside and out, but both players actually looks like they'll be going for an early hatchery. Larva on 11, Shine on 12, slightly favoring Shine here, but not a big deal. Just gonna have that one extra earlier, one drone just a little bit earlier than Larva, as Larva waits for his 200 minerals for that spawning pool.
Yeah, and Shine gonna have a little bit of a vision advantage. He scouted in the correct direction right off the bat here. He'll have a little bit more intel than Larva to begin things. It won't matter too much because it is mirrored builds, but Larva will be a little bit more in the dark and maybe a little bit nervous about what could possibly be coming from Shine. Could this be a lot of early Ling aggression or what have you? Larva's not going to know for a longer period of time, and Shine is super cheesy, so wouldn't be weird for Larva to maybe be worried about some early aggression.
Yeah, we might see Shine, you know, cut a few early Lings, you know, just try to get an extra drone out or something like that, extend that lead a little bit more, whereas
Right.
Larva kind of has to build Lings here. You know, if there's a little bit of a, you know, more normally timed pool coming in here, like an overpool or something like that, you don't really have the luxury of saving Larva or building drones at this point. And so, you know, Shine might be able to get away with a little bit more grid here, already transferring some workers over, transferring workers that are on some of the worst patches in the main, putting them on the best patches at the natural, optimizing that mineral income here, and getting out some Lings of his own in just a moment.
Yeah, and you can see inversely Larva not transferring any drones and just pumped Lings right off the bat, like you were saying. Although he is being a little bit tricky. He's sending his Lings out via the 6 o'clock base to maybe see if he can punish some greed from Shine. Shine checking that now of his first 2 Lings. Sees the news that there's already going to be Lings at his doors, but he has optimized this build pretty good. He's got Defender's advantage, so even though he did get a little bit greedy with squeezing out an extra drone, he's going to be okay as long as he makes non-stop Lings from that point onwards to kind of match the timing. It does take, you know, a good 25-30 seconds for Larva to actually get out onto the map with those Lings, especially if they're spawning from the main hatchery, to actually do some damage with them. So Shine can optimize and make sure that his greed won't get unpunished here.
All right, so we might end up seeing players skip over that Zergling speed now, since the game is going to go a little bit longer, and Spires are going to finish up here soon. Neither player has really a big incentive to just try to run it down things. Actually, quite a few Lings being made by Larva. He may not cancel his speed upgrade and go with a big round of Lings here to try and punish Shine, although Shine sees everything. Just continuously building Lings here as Shine should keep you safe, especially if you have a decent concave in the natural. Both players actually finished that Ling speed, neither player canceling to try and save a bit of extra gas for the Mutalist timing. Looks like we're going to have a big engagement here. Pulling back, Larva gets surrounded. 1 Ling goes down. That's actually bigger than it seems.
Yeah.
Losing that early Ling puts the pressure onto Larva now. He's going to have a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to Lings on the ground. Could get overwhelmed here as the mutas are on the way out. Another Ling gets caught. 2 manage to slip into the main. We'll see if he can get any damage with that. Does force a bit of a move from Shine, but Shine, I mean, he loses some mining time, but he keeps all the drones alive. Bit of an awkward engagement here from Shine.
Ooh.
Backing away now. pretty good surround on a few of those lings. Larva having a bit of advantage on the ground, but mutas are now out.
Yeah, mutas are now out, and he didn't actually kill a drone, but did disrupt the mining a little bit there from Shine. Ling's trying to punish Larva now, getting on top of those gas drones, one being pulled off. He does get the kill on that. That's pretty huge, especially because he's already fighting from a little bit of a drone deficit. 2 Lings do get into the main base as well. That's slowing down the gas income. Even if he doesn't kill an additional drone, he does delay the gas mining, and he kills a second drone. That is huge damage from Shine. He's now up at least 3 drones because of his initial greed.
Wow, this is a huge swing for Shine. Larva lost an Overlord there as well, I believe, to the mutas that just popped out. Larva going to try to get one of these Overlords. He really needs to even the odds here, but he's too close to these mutas.
Oh, God.
And now he's in a defensive situation. He's got to back away. 5 mutas for Shine, 2 for Larva. This game is over.
Nah.
He's going to have to tap out just like that. One tiny mistake in the phone booth, and you get your jugular cut.
Yeah, Larva's going to try and go for a Hail Mary, see if he can get a Ling stab and maybe, you know, distract the mutas long enough to recover back at home. But it's very much a tall order here. This will probably be unsuccessful at bridging the gap that now has been created by Shine, catching those mutalisks, and he doesn't really do a whole lot of damage with those Zerglings. Larva in so much trouble. He's going to have to rely predominantly on some very good Scourge connections. Like, theoretically, if you could split all your Scourge and hit each mutalisk once, and then your mutas one-shot down the remaining muta, technically you could win that fight. But looking at it right now, there's a 9 muta count for Shine, plenty of Scourge. It's not going to happen, Saiyan. Shine is about to close out this game.
Yeah, he's going to come in and initially kill a drone or 2. There comes the engagement now. A not perfect engaging from Larva, but he does get a couple of hits. Still, he needs absolute perfection, and he's not finding it here as Shine just continues to micro these mutas to get as much damage as he can. The tap out comes, and GG. Larva has to leave this game. He'll head to the losers match, and Shine makes his way to the winners to face up against Hero.
Wow, I would say this group has been blown open, saying our original predictions of YSC and Larva doing well in this group, they're both going down to the losers bracket. This is going to be one of the more insane, hard to call groups, it seems. Shine now through to that winners match. He's probably feeling pretty good about that. He played really exceptionally well. You could argue there's a little bit of luck on his side with that first scout with the Overlord, allowed him to get away with some greed. But, you know, an extra drone doesn't always mean you're going to win the game. Like, that also just comes down to the maneuvering with the Mutalist. Larva getting a little bit too greedy, wanting to catch the Overlord and kill from Shine, and just got punished. And we talked about it before, like, just one tiny misstep is all it takes. It's such a snowbally matchup. If you've got like a 1 muta advantage, you can just absolutely crush your opponent if you catch him off guard.
Yeah, it was a hard call to make. He kind of needed to do something after losing 2 drones and an Overlord. It hurt so bad. He really wanted to make up a bit of that difference, but it ended up costing him everything. And so Larva will go to the losers match. Our predictions are completely off here because at least one of these guys will definitely be going out, either Larva or YSC. Larva, I mean, he's got to be staring down the barrel here a little bit. YSC is a force right now, and he's meeting him in the losers match. Hero versus Shine is coming up next, guys. Short commercial break. 6 minutes. We'll be right back. All right, boys and girls, we are back. Hero versus Shine for our winners match. Second ZVZ of the night. Hero looked pretty solid versus YSC. Shine had a very nice game versus Larva as well. I'm curious to see if that was just luck from Shine or if he really is in good shape. Again, haven't seen him for a while. Haven't seen him in Pro League, K League, anything like that.
Right.
I haven't seen any, ultimate battles from him or anything either. I might have missed one, but it seems like he's been, kind of off to the side, maybe preparing in secret, kind of practicing with his practice partners or, just playing on his free time. I'm not so sure, but he's here. He's ready to play. And Hero, he wants to get out of this group first, man. What kind of strategy is he going to go for? He saw that game last. Is he going to go for like a 9 pool, early pool? Let's find out. All right, guys. Winners match has begun. Shine spawning in top right, Hero in bottom left, cross map position. So this bucks the trend a little bit of what we usually see with ZVZ. Not going to be complete information here for either player
Right.
to start, and both players are going to get a scout at the same time. Usually, players scout towards their opponent's natural, wherever they are spawned. So one player usually gets the first scout, and the other player might get the scout in just a little bit later. Sometimes people buck the trend, go the opposite direction. It's pretty rare, but
Hmm.
some Zerg players like to do that. For specific builds, it can be pretty promising, can be pretty powerful, but in this type of situation, cross map, neither player is going to see the early build, and they're both going to scout each other at the same time. That's what I was getting
Yeah,
to.
sometimes you'll reverse scout if, say, you're thinking about a 12 hatch, but you don't just want to be shut down by a 9 pool. So say you'll reverse scout, and if you see that their overlord is en route to your natural base, you can just go 12 pool instead of 12 hatch and things like that. There's definitely reasons you would want to reverse scout depending on what you think the other player's range will be and how comfortable you are with certain openings. Seems like Shine actually going to be doing a very quick hatchery in the main base here. This is going to be an all-in Ling play, it seems. Like, this is such an early hatchery. This is a 9 hatch build. This is what you would do if you just want to get a quick win on the ladder. Like, if you just want to quickly get your ZVZ finished, like a 9 hatch into mass all-in speedlings is a very good way of closing out games quickly and quickly get as many wins on the board as possible in this matchup.
Yeah, there's not a lot of play out of this type of build. You're basically going to try to hide lings. Initially, maybe block your ramp. Don't let them scout you. Let that hatchery really come online so that you can start getting a big advantage in terms of your ling number, and then you're going for an all-in. This actually works out pretty well for Shine, considering that Hero's not top left and scouting him right away, or bottom right and scouting him right away. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, possibly Shine saw no Overlord heading towards his base and decided on this build. What do you think about that, Shun?
No, I think that's very likely, and I think that's why he sent his Overlord in that pattern. Like I was talking before about the reverse Overlord scouting method, like the same applies here. Like he saw there was no Overlord making his way to his natural, and it's more likely that they're going to be doing an orthodox Overlord scout and checking in that direction, so he can be relatively sure that there isn't a close spawn, at least something that would check him early, unless he Heroes in the top left doing a reverse scout into the top right. That's less likely. So okay, pretty good Ling engagement right away. Hero will actually get into the main base now and confirm what this build order is from Shine. That's pretty huge. And speed just finished up as well for Hero, so he's going to buy some time. He's not going to kill this pool, but he's just going to put on some pressure and buy as much time for more additional lings to be popped out. And good catch from him there, killing another ling of Shine. Takes a little bit longer for the speed to kick in for the build order that Shine has gone for.
Yeah, that's a shame here for Shine. He would really have loved to get the lings to the ramp in time. You can see him sighing a little bit here. He knows what a bad spot this is. If he could have just got to that ramp in time and blocked the scout, you can kind of hide how many lings are being made and how many hatches you have behind this. But now that the hatches have been revealed, Hero knows exactly what's coming. He knows he can just sit on the top of his ramp. That's why he left the main base as soon as he did what damage he could. He immediately went back home. He's going to sit on top of the ramp and just build a sunken colony if he feels like he's threatened. Like if he finds out that Shine is not continuing
Ooh.
to build lings, then he's not gonna morph that sunken colony. But he doesn't even need to really mine gas here. He's pulled almost everything off of gas, and he's just going to mine barely enough to make, 1 or 2 Mutalisks. A drone is coming here. Shine's actually going to try to bust this with a drone. He doesn't even have vision up on the
Not
top of
yet.
the ramp. That's kind of crazy.
He does have an Overlord slowly getting over there, though. Maybe that will come into play, unless he wants to do something. I think that is the play, is to maybe try and use the drone to help break the ramp. The Overlord's not in position yet, but maybe he can still utilize that drone in a few moments when the Overlord is finally in position. This is a beautiful concave though from Hero. He's trading at a pretty high efficiency rating. Shine is not successful at breaking through just yet, but he's about to be. He's just now broken the line of Hero's ramp. There is a sunken ready.
Sunken? Spore?
Yeah. He could maybe make
What is he going to make here in the main?
I think it has to be a sunken or a spore. I don't know though, man. Like I don't feel like a spore is good enough in this situation. Maybe it's a sunken colony to put on some pressure here. But I guess you could make 1 spore, 1 sunken. That might be the play here from Shine. But it looks like it is just going to be sunken colonies, and he's not done a good enough job of that. Hero is going to put a lot of damage onto that sunken, so it's a one-shot once it does finish up, and Shine in a lot of trouble. I mean, he has got some more and more Zerglings coming in, but with this sunken unbroken from Hero, he's going to have a hard time punishing him now that there's Mutalisks out.
Oh, that's surprising. I thought he would go for a spore. He doesn't even have an evolution chamber back at home, so he really couldn't. There's a world where you build a spore here, and then you can just kind of hang out by the spore with the lings, and if the mutas ever leave, then you dive in and try to kill. And he can't clear you away from the spore without taking massive damage. So, I mean, the idea here was obviously to make a sunken colony to hit the larva and the eggs, so that he could just prevent mutas from ever being made, but this is now such a difficult situation. I don't see how Shine can possibly win here. 2 mutas back at home. A second sunken colony in the main base is just the ticket to finish off this game with a win here. Hero gonna lose some drones, it looks like, but targeting down pretty well, and running the drones on top of the lings is gonna work out perfectly. 1 drone dies here in the main for Shine. I mean, even though he's got a bit of a drone advantage, I still feel like this is just an instant win for Hero.
Yeah, technically Shine's alive, but it's gonna be so long until he has his own transition into Mutalisks, and by that time, Hero's gonna have a pretty high count of them. Hasn't lost too much actual drone count to the Mutalisk pressure of Hero, but Hero could also take a natural expansion here and get a gas lead and slowly close out the game. But at the moment, he's pressuring with some Zerglings. There is nothing defending on the ground here for Shine, so these Zerglings are going to do a lot of heavy lifting. If he kills this spore on the bottom, it is pretty much lights out for Shine. He's desperately trying to save that, and he's not able to do so. GG is called. Wow, Hero's done it here. Really impressive stuff from him. It's a nice idea from Shine. I feel like the 4 Lings getting into the main base and actually confirming the build order of Shine pretty much made it impossible to win without a little bit of luck on his side, and that did come to fruition.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It felt like the build was a bit off or something. I don't know if he had like a late overlord or something went wrong there for Shine. Should be able to have lings on the ramp before uh, Hero was able to send those all the way across map and block, or no, I don't really know what you can do. Maybe pull. Like I'm thinking, can you pull drones or something? You have to stop that scout from coming in, or it's just lights out. I feel like pulling drones would be too much of a red herring, though. It would give away the game.
Yeah.
That you're doing something crazy anyway. So I don't know what Shine needed to do, if there was a mistake there or not, but game plan for certain did not work out here for Shine.
That's for sure. And yeah, usually you'll have about 4 lings getting to the ramp just as their lings are arriving with that build. So yeah, maybe there were some optimization issues from Shine. I'm not too sure. I would have to look at the replay to see exactly what happened with that build order. But nonetheless, Hero does a good job of identifying and crushing that build. He's going to be feeling pretty fantastic, man. Like, not a lot of people had a hope for him getting out of this group first. He has still been in the tail end of his slump, but he's managed to put that behind him, at least for today, and will be joining us in the round of 16 for the group selection ceremony. I don't have too much hope of this guy winning ASL, but it's nice to have him around. He's one of my favorite Zergs of all time. I would love to see him get over his slump and start going back to being Mr. Consistent, as Flash put it.
Yeah, a resurgent hero would be amazing. We already saw Rain, doing well, where he's been in a bit of a I don't even wanna call it a slump, it's just he's been in this situation where he really hasn't played a whole lot of Brood War for many years, so,
Right.
you know, having him back in pretty good form, having Hero back in good form as well, add him to the list, boys, because there are so many great players this season who are in very good form. It's kind of incredible. It's a great season to be a Brood War fan, guys. Season 21 round of 16 should be absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think this, despite there being so many Terrans, I think this is shaping up to be a really good ASL, and especially with Flashback. I mean, I feel like we're going to have some great games. I feel like the round of 24 might be a little bit shaky compared to the rest of the tournament, especially with how Terran dense it is, but that herd of Terrans will get thinned out. For example, in the Flash group, yes, it's all Terrans, and 2 Terrans are guaranteed to get through, but also means that 2 Terrans are guaranteed to go out. So yeah, I think the deeper we go into this tournament, the more and more exciting it will start to become.
Well, with Hero getting out first here, who are you expecting to make it through out of the other three contenders? I mean, Shine already in that final match.
Mm.
He looked good against Larva. Will Larva be able to win over YSC and get his revenge, or are we going to see YSC face up
Yeah,
against Shine next?
it's a tough one to call because of how nervous YSC looked on stage. I want to say it's going to be a Larva versus Shine final match, and I feel like Larva will actually get revenge on Shine. I feel like there was a little bit of luck on Shine's side in that match number 1. Think things could be different in a rematch situation between those two, but we'll see. Gonna be going to a little bit of a break now, guys. Come and join us in a few moments for that loser match. Gonna be seeing YSC facing off against Larva. Don't go anywhere.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Larva versus YSC. Our two favorites for this group facing off in the losers match. Let's see Larva a little bit disappointed with his position right now. He's not feeling it. His overwhelming confidence when it comes to his gameplay, I think one of his biggest strengths. He knows that he deserves to be on that big stage. Whereas YSC typically, and so far in this tournament, has looked a little bit nervous, like he's not sure whether he should be there or not. Not sure if he deserves to get into that round of 16. But we know that he's been playing absolutely out of his mind. He definitely deserves a chance here. Definitely deserves a shot. So here we go. Group C losers. Let's get it started. Oh, we do get Jaden Doe.
Yeah. Interesting.
Huh. Okay. I got messed up. I thought the winners match and the losers match was on the same map.
Yeah,
I got mixed up.
I'm not sure what's going on with the maps. Like, am I just like crazy? Did we not have Jane Doe before? I don't remember seeing Jane Doe in the losers match before.
I don't think they get vetoes this early in the tournament.
Unless it's randomized.
From my recollection.
Maybe there's a draw on what maps get played in the losers. Who knows?
Maybe there's been a change up in the rules. There's been multiple change ups in the rules. Like, for example, this season there was the ASL Open instead of our regular ACS. That's been replaced. So the organizers aren't afraid to make some changes. Look at this Larva coming out and checking. Already worried about there might be some sort of proxy. So he checks the high ground behind his natural and is going to immediately go back to mining here in the main. That's kind of an interesting timing there to go out and check.
Yeah.
But why is he not doing anything untoward? This is a pretty typical map for gateway expansion, and there's a lot that you can do with that gateway expansion to kind of boost yourself ahead in PvZ by skipping over an early forge and just going directly into Stargate.
Yeah, you save so much money doing that. Like, think about it. Like, that's 150 minerals you don't have to blow on a forge, and extra 150 minerals that you don't have to blow on cannons. You can get a very quick nexus and core down because of that. You see very optimized Protoss build orders, but there is counterplay. Like, you can do a drone drill into the main base and ling bust early, for example. There is definitely counterplay to that. We've only seen it a couple of times, though. We don't usually see people go for very early wins on this map as trying to bust the ramp like that. And this is pretty sneaky from Larva, hovering over the Overlord over the Marine so that the medic has to be targeted instead, which has, you know, a higher health pool and a natural 1 armor. It takes a lot longer for that probe to actually break through.
That is kind of funny. I actually haven't seen that yet. It will eventually die, but this does buy a little bit of time here. This drone's not being harassed. He's gonna go ahead and throw it on the natural. And yeah, I agree with what you were saying before. The drone drill, a little bit more about the drone drill on the ramp. We've seen it in some other matches, and since this came out, like, Zerg players were messing around with it, but it seems like it's not really a factor.
Right.
That Protosses can just drill the ramp with probes and kind of deny pretty effectively that style of play. So I don't expect that we're really going to see too much of that. Great surround here from Larva as he takes out the Marine. YSC tries to punish, but Larva actually gets way more damage on the Zealot than YSC bargained for.
Yeah, this is a pretty good opening from Larva. He's already softened up this contain with the Zealots. YSC will eventually be broken. This is a pretty good trade from YSC, using the probe in conjunction with the Zealots. You can two-shot the Lings with an aid from that particle beam of the probe, but does get those 2 Zealots cleaned up in a pretty timely fashion here. And since this is Jane Doe, you'll always see Zergs pretty much powering up into 3 base like normal, and sometimes getting away with slightly more greed than is usual. But this is technically a standard game still. It's just a very wonky standard game. Like, this is like a gateway expand game where they're putting on pressure with the initial zealots and what have you. They just don't have to make that early forging cannons, so their tech is much more earlier curved out for here from YSC, and he is now getting that forge and will make a safety cannon on the ramp. I don't think he's optimized as good as he could have this game. I think that Stargate is a little bit slower than it could have been here against Larva, but it's still okay.
Yeah, I think it was slowed down a little bit. But then again, Larva's going for a lair. A lot of Zerg players we've seen here go for 5-hatch Hydra.
Right.
Really, really fast Hydraless play where you just need to... like, the nice part about Jane Doe is you only need to defend your natural if you're defending with Hydraless.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have something like a drop. There's no other way into the base, so you can put all your overlords at the natural, put all your Hydralists there, and then you can even build sunken colonies to defend and make it really difficult for something like a zealot timing attack to work. So
yeah,
that's been a popular play, but Larva's actually gone for a Hydra Den after going into a lair. So what is the game plan here? Is he going to throw down Aspire as well and do that double tech like we see out of so many? No, he's not. Not at all. Look at that. Hydra Den and a lair. It's so interesting here from Larva. Are we going to see some sort of lurker bust on the ramp?
Well, not necessarily, right? Like, this lair could just be for the Overlord speed as well. Could just be like a pre-storm Hydra timing with Overlord speed. That is possible. That is a build. It's not something you see very often, but I think it's still pretty effective on this map. You see Larva making additional hatchery now, so this might be similar to that 5 hatchery style you're talking, just with slightly earlier lair tech to get that Overlord speed and be safe. Might be conceding this Overlord, though. The Hydra is not enough DPS to stop this Overlord from dying. Only one Hydra was out initially. Does put quite a bit of damage onto that Corsair. Good scouting information from YSC, and killing a total of 2 Overlords is actually a pretty big deal. Larva will be supply blocked now. He's only on 4128, so it's going to be a little bit of time before he can actually start powering out units. I feel like he was slow to make additional Overlords to supplement those early losses.
Huh, this is an interesting 5-hatch Hydra play. Yeah, like you said, a little bit unorthodox, a little bit off from what we usually see, but yeah, only now adding the second gas in the naturals, so definitely not some sort of lurker play. He's most likely has the +1 on the way. Oh, he leaves the overlords alone at the natural. Oh man, Larva gonna lose another overlord.
Oh no,
dude, I am really surprised to see Larva playing like this right now. He's gonna lose another overlord.
That's a big
just
deal.
Out of position. Not in the right spot at the right time. And look at this. Extra cannons coming up on the high ground for YC, powering up into a lot of gateways behind this.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing this could be from Larva is a delayed drop tech. Like, I guess he could get the drop tech after the speed and maybe go for a big drop inside the main base. Look at this from YSC. He had a lot of cannons making to try and be safe, and then he cancelled pretty much all of them. He's just got this one cannon, and then he's making a second cannon on the very cliff face. He feels pretty safe after supply blocking Larva. He knows that the timing from Larva is going to be so much slower. I did see quite a bit of gas disappear from Larva just a moment ago, but that was a Spire also being thrown down at the same time, so I don't think that's drop tech that just got researched from Larva. It could have been, but he could have just made some upgrades and throw down the Spire as well to explain that gas disappearing suddenly. So maybe it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to come out and meet these zealots on the field to try to shove them back initially while droning up behind this. We'll be reaching that full saturation here relatively soon. He's got enough Hydras to push everything back and even potentially deny the natural expansion from YSC. So YSC will have to be a little bit careful here as he gets up to 8 gateways, whereas Larva droning hard and taking a 4th base down in bottom right.
Yeah, this cannon's a bit of a weird situation, I think, because on the one hand, it's nice to have a cannon really far out, but it also stops your High Templars from getting right up there to storm deep into the line of Hydras as they come in. So I both like and dislike this cannon placement at the same time. It's going to buy a little bit of time, provide some surface area, and you can see he can still storm this choke point from above, but he can't go too deep with it. But luckily there's plenty of Zealots to hold the line here. The optimization from YSC has been pretty fantastic. Delaying the production of Larva from those Overlord snipes is a really big deal. Larva probably will have to think about maybe even a fairly early 4th base here. I don't think he's going to have enough to run YSC over in this game. There seems to be just too many Zealots on the ground. We have +1 weapons finished up now for Larva. He has the high ground here as well. That's a good perch for the Hydras to chill, and he is going to be transitioning into Mutalisks now after that Spire popped, so could go on a bit of a High Templar sniping spree. YSC doesn't have that many Corsairs currently. He's hunting down the first High Templar now, does get a pick on that. That's pretty huge for Larva. Has a nice little ball of Hydras, but not quite enough to kill every single Zealot. YSC is going to shove him back a little bit while we're trying to get a run by into the natural expansion with some additional Zealots.
Well, how many drones can I actually get here? I think the trade should be pretty good for Larva, but ooh, a drop into the main at the same time. Taxing the multitasking here of Larva, who is just going to pick up on this immediately. We just fly directly over here, going to shut this down. Completely shut out, and he's going to get the drop, it looks like. Yeah, he's going to find this now. So the shuttle goes down as well. This is a very good hold for Larva, but he doesn't have a 4th base up. I thought I saw there was a 4th down at bottom right, but it was actually a clump of maybe Lings or something like that.
Yeah, he has some
units. At the same time, YSC doesn't have his 3rd either. I really thought he would take this 3rd base behind the push, but instead he's just been focusing on making as many units as he can. We'll see if it's enough to hold back Larva here on the ground now.
Well, the 4th base from Larva just now starting, and like you say, the 3rd base from YSC a little bit lagging behind. So I think this works out just fine for Larva. He's kind of mitigated the early game optimization of YSC fantastically. I think one thing that is a credit to Larva is just how fantastic that Overlord spread was. There was just no way that shuttle was catching him off guard, and he responded beautifully to that. It was a nice idea. I really do like using DT drops on this map. I think it's underused by a lot of players, but Larva's Overlord spread was just too fantastic. Now we see Dragoons starting to get into a pretty high count here to help escort these High Templars around and start to bully Larva back. And unfortunately, Larva doesn't quite have a large enough critical mass ascertained of these Hydras to stop YSC in his tracks. He's kind of trying to rotate around and play keep away, buying some time for more rounds of units to pop out. In a few moments, he will have enough units to start fighting against YSC. Beautiful High Templar snipe as well. There's hardly any High Templars in reserve for YSC, predominantly just pure Dragoon production. So eventually, YSC could find himself overwhelmed in the center.
Well, Larva's gotten into an insanely fast hive this game. In a metagame where the staying on layer has been pretty prominent, it's interesting to see him go into such a fast hive even before having the 4th base up or the 4th gas. Getting surrounded here, gonna try to pick off as many Corsairs as he can, give the Mutas a bit of free reign in the air, but that was a little bit of a rough catch there. I think Larva's going to have enough time to get a few lurkers out and try to take that high ground. Critical high ground right out in front of natural, or the Larva's natural. This area right here, we just saw in the middle of the screen. You have to kind of keep control over that spot. The lurkers are kind of bunched up right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is a huge mistake from Larva. He could lose 3 lurkers from 1 storm. In fact, 2 lurkers are going to get caught in the back of that storm. And so, I mean, I think there's enough storm here to actually press the issue. YSC shoving forward. Are there any more Stormskate? 2 more arrive here at the front just in the nick of time. Gonna have to pull back. Larva is running on fumes here. He's hardly got anything left as more High Templars arrive along with his DT.
This is a pretty impressive game from YSC. He's traded off more or less the entire standing army of Larva. Larva just didn't have that much stuff due to the Hive transition, trying to be a little bit greedy in terms of the tech path he's gone for this game. He played deeper than he did wide and is now paying the price for it a little bit. YSC getting that third base online, and after trading off such a high count of units, keeping Larva contained in this bottleneck is extremely Protoss favored. He's also cycling down some Zealots to come and try and kill this fourth base maybe, although thinking better of it just for a moment, hesitating. There's only 4 Hydras down here, so he definitely can come and kill this hatchery. This is huge. Larva's in so much trouble if he loses this fourth base, Saiyan.
Well, it is possible that he can stay on even basis with YSC and fight him with Hive, but it's definitely not comfortable here.
No.
I mean, YSC is bearing down on this space, getting off lots of valuable storms as well. And Larva, it's not going to be easy for him to come out and get this fourth anytime soon. And every time he tries to run forward here, it's just going to be met with Storm and Dragoon Fire. Larva, I mean, I don't know how he wins this game if YSC just stays here and camps out in the front of his base.
Right, yeah, it seems very insurmountable odds for Larva to contend with. This is about as uncomfortable as it gets, unfortunately. And YSC gonna start to claim an insurance policy, setting up for taking this fourth base while running it down. You can see how hard it is for Zerg to defend against this. Just storm behind the sim city of the Zerg, and your Hydras can't get good enough surface area to all shoot at once. He will be bullied back deeper and deeper into his defensive line. You basically use the Dragoons like siege tanks and just lean on the Zerg, pick off a macro hatchery or two, and eventually there just won't be enough meat on the bone for Larva to keep contesting with the standing army of YSC here. Larva looks a little bit disheartened on that cam as well. I think he knows he's up against it right now. YSC's played a very tight game, and I don't see Larva breaking out this easy. There's only one High Templar here, I guess. A bit of a counterattack from Larva with a lurker at this fourth base location, but it's not really accomplishing a lot. Larva's in so much trouble, man.
Yeah, Larva is just about out of this game. You guys can see why we were hyping up YSC a little bit at the beginning of this cast and saying how he has grown so much. You know, if you think about YSC in the past seasons of ASL, he just hasn't quite been up to the task. He hasn't been quite at that level, but he's certainly proving that he can take on an ASL champion here today. Taking out Larva is going to be massive, and there's really not much hope left for Larva. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you guys, but hey, you know what? I think he's found one thing that he can do. He's going to go out and drop on the map. YSC seems to be on top of it, but let's see how this goes.
Yeah, he does spot it with a Zealot, and will immediately respond to that, cycling up some units to maybe intercept that drop, at least slowing it down and forcing it to like navigate around the center and take a lot longer to get in position. Might even pick off an Overlord or two with some Dragoons. Unfortunately for Larva, Zerg drops typically not having the best record against Protoss, especially if they know it's coming. You could just have some High Templars in position to storm as all the units pop out. Does have a pretty low success rate. Is one of the only gambits that maybe he could go for to try and turn this game around. But look at YSC. He's got enough cannons back at home. 3 High Templars here in the third base as well. It looks pretty hopeless for Larva, unfortunately.
Yeah, props to YSC for having like perfect vision around the entire base of Larva as well, though, right? He was pretty much perfectly positioned there. You can see there's really no gaps in the overall vision of YSC where you can try to fly Overlords out of the main base. He was basically, he was destined to get caught here. The storms go down on top of all these unloading units, and GG has to be called. Larva taps out. goes down first in this group. You
YSC
can
looks
see the
emotional.
elation on YSC's face. Yes, he looks emotional here. You're not out of the group yet, man. You did a great job, but you've still got to contend with Shine in the upcoming
He's
match.
crying, man. Like he genuinely is getting really emotional about this. This is kind of surprising to see. He's not even out of the group yet, and he's already feeling a lot of emotion. Maybe having a hard time controlling his nerves, and that's also spilling out to controlling his response to winning that game against Larva. That's a big deal for YSC. He's not got a lot of wins on the board in the ASL. Like, he's showed up quite a few times. He's been in the round of 24, you know, quite occasionally. He's just never had that many successful records in the ASL, and he's beat an ASL champion here today. And you can see him really fighting against those emotions and trying to come to terms with the situation he's in. He could have already been out of this group had he not thrown it against that match number one. You could mainly say that the reason why Hero beat him in that game number one was because of that sneaky overlord at the south side of the map allowed the Hydras to run it down more aggressively against him. He was doing a good job of keeping the rest of the overlords in check with the Corsairs, but because of that one overlord at the bottom, allowed Hero to punish the slower cannon timings of YSC just before Storm hit. And he could already be out of this group had that not been the case. I hope he can keep his emotions in check and try and, you know, hold them off a little bit until maybe he can beat out Shine in that final match. We'll be joining both those gamers here in about 6 or 7 minutes, guys. Run to the bathroom, grab some fruit, do what you got to do, and come join us for that final match. Don't go anywhere.
Into the final match. Heading into the final match here. YSC versus Shine is about to begin. Uh, Pretty insane little story here from YSC.
Yeah.
We could see that he was definitely improving over the time between the past season and this one, between ASL 20 and ASL 21. He's been grinding hard. He's been proving himself in Pro League and other places, and he was definitely feeling the pain after that first loss to Hero, but absolutely redeemed after that win over Larva. Now he's up against Shine. He's that much closer to making his way into the round of 16. It's a big moment here for him. Shine, on the other hand, he's going to be prepping something dirty, prepping some filth here for YSC. I wonder what kind of cheesy play is going to come out of him right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure, saying we're about to find out though. The Group C ASL final match, YSC versus Shine on Polestar. Let's get it.
Here we go. YSC top left. Shine over in the top right. Ready to crush some dreams here, Shine? What have you got for us?
Man, I think whatever happens, this is gonna be more of an emotional roller coaster than some TV dramas. I mean, I'm feeling it, at least. I think you'd have to be a pretty emotionally numb basement dweller gremlin to not at least have a teeny tiny bit of empathy for the journey that YSC's gone on. Man, he's had such a rough time in the ASL previously. He's worked his ass off to be here today and to try and take games off the likes of these other gamers, and you can tell it means a lot for him. I'm just gonna speak from the heart. I'm gonna call it how it is. I think this is a bigger guy. He probably doesn't have a lot of self-esteem, and one of the things that he does have is he's pretty damn good at StarCraft, saying, and I imagine being here in the ASL and winning games means a hell of a lot more to him than just about anybody else.
That can be a benefit, but it can also be a curse if you're emotionally invested.
True.
In how the games are turning out. Could end up making mistakes. So hopefully he can keep his head on straight. Leave the emotions for after he places the seed. Or he gets planted in round of 16. Shine is going to be pulling out something tricky for sure. And so YSC has to keep his eyes open, and he's got to try to glean as much information as possible. And to that, he's sending out double probe here, making sure that he can get that scout in. We'll be finding Shine now, and the third hatch has just been thrown down immediately from Shine at the third, or the second hatch at the third base. So
yeah,
he didn't want to mess around with, potential of getting blocked or anything like that. He could have gotten it down for free, but it's not too much of a problem here having it over at the third base for him.
Yeah, it also makes cannon rushing a little bit awkward as well. It's not quite as good to cannon rush this third base location, and he had the double probe scout, so a cannon rush definitely was on the cards for YSC. So both stops the hatchery getting blocked and also makes the idea of a cannon rush less palatable for YSC. Good block here in the natural. Going to be forcing a bit of a delay on Shine getting that third hatchery up. Won't be getting the block this time around though. Went a little bit too far back with that probe, unfortunately. I think it's good that he had some emotional release. I think you could argue both ways, like, save it till the end. But if he's that, stacked up inside, maybe it's good to just release the pressure valve a little bit so he can lock in for the final match. I could see that as well.
It's a good point. We'll see if YSC is fully locked in here, because at any moment the trap could be sprung from Shine. You got to keep your head on and try to decipher what's coming here. It was pretty straightforward what he got hit with from Hero, but of course very well oiled and optimized from Hero. That Hydralis bust probably what comes out of Shine not going to be quite as well optimized, but it will be a little bit more tricky and awkwardly timed if he does end up going for a bust like that. He can also play a bit more of a macro game, but I tend to favor Shine if he goes for something on a little bit more of the cheesy side. Try to pull the wool over the eyes. You know, he's got a very good win rate versus Protoss.
Yeah.
And that's not for nothing. He's great at fooling these Protoss players who are used to playing a more standard game against really strong macro zergs.
Yeah, he already did something a little bit tricky. You know, he made his lair at the third base to obfuscate the timing of that from YSC, although YSC did just confirm that lair at the third base, and he gets back into the main with the probe. That's pretty huge. He can kind of assume that it's going to be a Spire, but you don't know for sure. It's really great to get that confirmation. Scout there has a Zealot at the third base as well. Enough Zerglings to try and pressure the Zealot away. However, if he micros this Zealot perfectly, he can overwhelm those 3-lings and keep getting a confirmation on how many drones are at this third base. That's going to be huge as well to know what the plan is going to be from Shine. He doesn't know for sure that there wasn't a den thrown down along with this Spire. He can be pretty sure that there's not yet, but he doesn't, again, know for sure. This could have been a cross-tech from Shine going for both. He hasn't yet decided to throw down that den. Shine's kind of doing his own thing, playing a bit more of an orthodox style rather than taking a page from Soma's book. Oh.
There's the Hydra Den. Second gas over there in the natural as well. We'll see. I mean, he definitely needs to usher away this Corsair before he does anything too strange. If that's indeed what he wants to go for, he's got to push this back, and then the deception can begin. YC gets a scout off. I hope that he's going to be checking really carefully for an extra Overlord over by his natural this time. Make sure that there's nothing near his natural that can screw him over in the same way that it did in the match versus Hero.
Yeah, he's playing very similarly to the game that he did against Hero. He's got this additional gateway in the natural like he did against Hero. Everything looks pretty much timed out the same. Scouting Scourge coming in, one of them getting cleared out by that cannon. And Shine is doing kind of like a cross-tech style, although the den was a few seconds later than we traditionally see from players copying Soma. It basically is the same thing. It's still going to be a cross-tech style, but slightly later on the den timing. Shouldn't really come into play too much. Ooh, if he could maybe find an opportunity to pick off an overlord, that would be huge, but I don't think he wants to stick around and mess around with the idea of maybe getting caught by these. Scourge does take one hit from that. You really can't afford to lose a single Corsair in the early game, especially against someone like Shine. He is playing super safe. He's got additional cannons being thrown down in the mineral line. He's not taking any chances from Shine. He knows this could be a very aggressive style. Could be as many as 10 Mutalisks and a bunch of Scourge running it down on him soon.
Well, Shine actually checked bottom or top left, the corner there, where that's usually where a Protoss player will throw down a second Stargate, because it's mostly covered by the cannon and it's a bit harder to scout. But Shine made a point of going in there and scouting that twice to make sure that there wasn't a second Stargate there. So he has that confirmation. He knows that it's not going to be some massive round of Corsairs popping out here. These Mutas will be impactful. And, you know, with a ton of Scourge, he might just try to bust the main. 2 sunken colonies is a little bit rough.
2 dens.
You'll have to go up to a lot more. Whoa, a second den here. I wonder if that's just for the wall in.
Maybe.
While he dives the main. If he dives the main, like, you need a lot of buildings here to choke up this area. And Hydra Den on the right or left side of the hatchery is Zealot tight.
Yeah, it could also be a mistake, like he just forgot that he already made the den. Could be because he delayed his upgrades, so he wants to get more upgrades in a timely manner. Could be a very quick transition into a lurker contain, for example. We'll have to wait and see. There is a DT out. This DT is more for scouting than for doing damage here. It does get spotted by the overlords. Doesn't quite get the kill on that invisible man. But there is quite a lot of Mutalisks that have been produced by Shine. He just hasn't pulled the trigger on oh my gosh, that hatchery placement is
Oh no.
he's got I do this on fastest, man.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll misplace my macro hatcheries and get some drone stuck between a sunken or something. Oh, he's gonna have to kill. Maybe that's why he replaced the den, because he's
maybe
gonna
that's
have
why
to kill
yeah
this one.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. I've made a similar mistake on this map as well and got my drone stuck in that exact position. I feel the pain what Shine is experiencing right now. He's not killing it. Come on, you got to finish it off. I guess maybe there's an upgrade going on. He's going to wait for the upgrade to finish before killing that off. That's frustrating, man. That's really, truly frustrating. But should have you know, gamed out this map a little bit better, Shine. Maybe he thought he was going to get through in that second match and didn't think to prepare against YSC for the final.
Yeah, who knows? He has got +1 carapace on this air fleet. Plenty of Scourge, plenty of Mutas, but YSC has a pretty healthy Corsair fleet himself with the +1 upgrade. And sometimes you can do a preemptive Storm on the Scourge. I mean, Storm does 110 damage over 2.5 seconds. Scourge have hardly any HP, so they quite literally evaporate in a couple of 100 milliseconds. They die so quickly. So if you see the Muta Scourge come in and you get just one Storm off on that Packer's Scourge, suddenly the Corsairs reign supreme. There's the preemptive Storm on his own Corsairs, sucking up a little bit of friendly damage to just deny the possibility of Shine being able to come in there and quickly kill off all of those Corsairs so easily. He dives into the natural, picks off a High Templar, losing one Muta for his trouble. They're trying to take away as much of the splash damage utility available to YSC. Currently hitting this 4th base hatchery with a DT is YSC. That gets picked up in a timely manner, though. This is going to be an interesting macro game, it seems.
Yeah, really nice storm there from YSC. I mean, storming your own units it doesn't really look good, but you're not going to shave off even the shields of the Corsairs if you start moving them immediately, whereas the Scourge die instantaneously. So it's a pretty good move. Now he's got a decent enough Corsair fleet to where I don't think Shine can dive the High Templar without losing basically everything. Which means Shine's going to have to go to plan B here, make a lot of Hydras, and he may be forced into a fight where he really can't snipe High Templars, and then he's mostly Hydraless focused. So that's a losing proposition for Shine, who's actually banking up a lot of money right now. He's supply blocked and can't really make anything. This is a little bit rough, but he's going to dive in now for High Templar kills. 1 High Templar, 2 High Templars go down. That's the bulk of the High Templar force, but every Muta dies. Really good control from YSC on the chase micro.
Yeah, no, that's really nice from YSC. It does feel painful to lose 2 High Templars like that, but taking out the entire Muta flock is not bad at all. Makes you feel so much safer to come out onto the map. Beyond that, Shine just now making a big round of lurkers. They will need to be finished up to hold off an attack from YSC, but YSC also will be waiting for another macro round or 2 before he feels safe enough to move out. So Shine should have enough forces set up back at home to defend a counterattack. Here come the lurkers now. He wants to be proactive, but these lurkers are pretty clumped up. YSC could try and challenge this, but a nice flank from Shine attacking on the southern threshold as well. YSC being pretty fluid with his army movements to respond to that. Meanwhile, harassing Shine in the backline with those Corsairs. Beautiful Psionic Storms on the south flank of Hydras. Now trying to push deep on the front line of Shine. Has a pretty healthy count of Dragoons. If he's got just 1 Storm remaining, he can probably run it down on these lurkers very cost efficiently too. The High Templars will make sure the Dragoons trade pretty good because the Hydras will eviscerate them once they get to a low enough number. But for the time being, YSC is winning out on the trades ever so slightly to keep pushing Shine back.
And Shine hasn't really transferred workers over to the 4th base, and he's lost a lot of overlords, man. He dropped down, I think he had about 150 supply open, and now he's going to drop down to, what, 90?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he lost so many overlords during this engagement. The control was a little bit subpar with the lurkers as well. He just couldn't pull it together with that attack while dealing with the Corsairs back at home at the same time. And so time is running out here for Shine. I mean, he's not... I think he's just transferred some workers over to the force, so he's finally getting that online. He could potentially just make a ton of lurkers. You probably want to make sunken colonies out into the natural as well and get lurkers in the high ground at the 4th and maybe go into hive. It's still a tough situation, though. You're going to have to rely on counterattacks. You're going to have to rely on static defenses, lots of lurkers to just buy that time to eventually get into hive play, and defilers are going to be what wins you the game.
Yeah, and I think so as well, Saying a beautiful play from YSC, being so proactive with these Corsairs out on the map, continually supply blocking Shine. He's had to make so many rounds of Overlords to stay ahead of that curve. Shine did get a slowdown on the 4th base timing of YSC here at the 9 o'clock position. That's good for him too. He cannot allow YSC to set that base up for free. He's going to have to keep challenging that, but he can't really fight YSC head on. He's kind of going to have to play this a bit like a PvT and play keep away from the main army of YSC for as long as possible so he can gather his forces and set up a flank later. Meanwhile, it does seem like YSC will be successful in getting this 4th base gradually online. There is hope for Shine if he can get into Hive Tech, but it's a little bit of a way away, and he has got a massive fleet of Overlords. Is this a fake drop, or is this an actual drop that's going to be heading over to YSC? He does see that with the gas. There's a little bit of a break in the cliff edge above that 3rd base, so he can see those Overlords coming to the main base. I'm not sure if these Overlords are actually loaded or if this is just a fake to pull the army back. Okay, they are loaded, so he is going to be doing the drop inside the main base of YSC now. Just 2 cannons, but there are some units quickly streaming up to defend this due to seeing those Overlords come in with that gas geyser at the 3rd base. So he does clean that up pretty cost efficiently. This would have worked a lot better for Shine had he been already in position to start attacking the 9 o'clock while this was all going on. Lurker getting a little bit of damage in the natural expansion, forcing a probe transfer, and he is starting to hit the 9 o'clock now, but YSC has a contingency of 4 High Templars, some Dragoons, and a few Zealots to hold the line there as well.
Yeah, YSC's doing a great job here of dealing with all of this chaos. Shine really tried to put him on the back foot with all that attacking, but one thing I know he isn't doing behind this is making a hive. So without breaking one of these bases or doing like some really significant damage, Shine is falling further and further behind, and that hive play is just kind of out of the question now. He'll have to rely on something like a switch back into Mutilus, I imagine, and a whole bunch of High Templar snipes just to keep himself alive and stay in this game. And maybe he'll find an opening where he can find some sort of opportunity to actually break YSC. But for now, YSC is in a dominant position, 80 supply advantage. He's roaming back and forth between these bases, and as soon as he's got 4 base online, he's going to be coming hard and fast towards Shine's base, and I don't know if he can stop it.
I'm getting a little bit of chills watching YSC play, man. Like, one of the things he's doing better than a lot of other guys is he's not sending all of his army to clean up threats. Like, so many times you'll see everyone just throw all their eggs into one basket, trying to clean up a drop or something, and leave a base undefended. He's not done that. He's kept a small contingency of forces at every location, shutting down any counterplay that Shine can throw his way. We've got another drop inbound into the main base of YSC, but YSC is knocking on the door now. There is not a lot to defend back at home. Even if this drop is somewhat successful, I don't think it's going to be enough for Shine to win the game. He has some High Templars in the main base to try and lay down blankets of Psionic Storm as well. He's already dealing with half of the forces in the drop, and he's starting to breach the main line of Shine in the natural expansion. YSC playing pretty much out of his mind right now. There's not going to be enough forces to completely clear up the main base here temporarily, but it doesn't matter. Look at the storms in the drone line. YSC starting to breach Shine and get on top of the production now.
Ooh, Shine got a little bit of a smirk or a grimace on his face right now as his natural starts to fall. YSC has played a heck of a game, and he is just barreling down now with 100 supply advantage, smashing through absolutely everything that Shine set up back at home to delay while this drop got the damage. GG is called. YSC clapping his hands here, giving us all the clapper as he performed a miracle comeback here after losing that initial game to Hero. He looked down and out mentally after that game, but he's managed to pull it back here through the Zerg group and make it out as the second player to advance to the
Wow.
round of 16.
I'm so happy he's saying this is a true underdog story unfolding before our eyes. A very deserving victory from YSC. I had high hopes for him getting out of this group, and he's done it. Like, he played a spectacular game against Larva on Jane Doe, and he's held his own so perfectly against Shine. There was hardly any holes in his gameplay. I can just tell this guy has been grinding out thousands of games since the previous ASL, man. It's really insane how good this guy is starting to become. The main issue is he needs to get over his nerves in the ASL and get a better hold of those emotions going forward. He's not probably going to win this season of ASL, but just getting a bit more confidence going forward will set him up for a more beautiful career in general. And I think that's going to be the aim of the game for this guy. He just needs a bit more self-confidence, self-belief, and a confirmation that all of his efforts weren't for nothing, man. I'm super happy for this guy.
Yeah, well deserved here. Gonna have the interview with YSC now. He's up on stage laughing and enjoying his victory, but he'll be a big target, I think, in the upcoming round of 16 group selection. A lot of players are probably going to be underestimating this guy. He might end up getting, picked up first out of everyone who's made it through so far. He does look like a kind of a juicy target here, don't you think?
No, I think so. Yeah, unfortunately, the reality is that, this guy is on the chopping block. Like, he will not have too much hope going forward in the event. I'm sure a lot of people will want to put him in their group, especially if they are very comfortable playing against Protoss, but they might underestimate him. They might not realize what kind of fish they'll be cooking with. I feel like this guy will certainly be easily underestimated by some of the other pros. I mean, he played spectacularly well today. I can't fault his play in the slightest, and you really can argue that first game against Larva was just to that unchecked overlord against Hero, was that unchecked overlord at the bottom of the map. That's like pretty much the one thing that helped Hero close out that game before the additional cannons came online and the storm was ready. If he bought another 5-10 seconds by delaying those other overlords, and there wasn't that proxy overlord making its way into the natural to allow the Hydras to be aggressive, he probably would have done a lot better in that game. And I'm really happy for him. He's come a long way. I really have looked to him as being one of these up and coming Protoss players that might not necessarily, become the best player in the world, but I think he can start to gradually claw his way to the higher rankings along with some of the other top pros.
Yeah, it's got to be hard, losing to Hero in that first game after beating him in day one of the qualifier. You definitely knew that he was capable of doing it, but small mistakes, small errors, uh, end up costing him that game. He's made his way back here. It's got to be an overwhelming experience, but we'll be seeing him in the round of 16 for that group selection. He may be getting picked by Soma. That is a definite possibility because he does have that first pick. We'll have to see how the other groups go, guys. Group D is going to be next, March 30th at 7 p.m. Make sure to join us here for the live cast. Light, Calm, Royal, and Mind. That should be a heck of a group.
Yeah, that'll be a really great group. But I have to slightly disagree with you. I think it's more likely that Soma picks someone like Flash and then swaps him. Maybe he swaps him with someone like YSC, but I don't think he's picking YSC right off the bat, is what I would say. And by the way, guys, we have forgot to mention, but we do have a Patreon page over at patreon.com/SaiyanJun Duocast. There'll be a link in the description if you're watching over on the StarCastTV YouTube page. I really do appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown us. There's nothing that excites us more for when ASL comes around and we get to bring you coverage of these great games. And if you are watching on YouTube, just to let you know, we do stream this live over on the Suit platform on the channel ASL English, you can check the teamliquid.net Wikipedia page for the ASL 21 and check the start times for that if you do want to come and check us out live.
That's right, guys. SAIYANXUN duo casts over there on Patreon. Also, come check out my channel, Saiyan KCM, on YouTube, where we cover the KCM and a lot of other great Brood War content. I've been streaming a ton of Pro League, watching Pro League lately. It's been fantastic. We've got a really good view into how these guys are performing this season due to that, and it's been an absolute blast. So definitely come check it out.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here with us today. We look forward to joining you again on Monday for that Group D. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you there. Thanks so much, guys.